Welcome to the City of Pinellas Parks City Council meeting. Our city offers superior parks, premium recreational services, exceptional public safety resources, optimal investment opportunities, and more. Our mayor and city council welcomes you to tonight's meeting.
Change that. Good evening. It is Thursday, January 9th, 2025, kicking off our new year. We will have an invocation and a pledge of allegiance. This evening, our invocation is being delivered by Councilwoman Patty Reed. So please rise if you wish.
Thank you. As we come before you today, we ask for your guidance and wisdom in our decision-making process. Help us listen to one another with open minds. May we not be quick to judge or criticize, but instead understand people have different perspectives. We pray you will guide us in all of our decision-making for the greater good. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, very good. Those kids are great.
Good evening, everybody. In January every year, we do a collaboration with the Art Society that takes place before the first of the year, and it's called the Mayor's Choice Awards. This was actually started by my late father back when he was mayor in partnership with the Art Society to make sure that some of their beautiful art is displayed here on a permanent basis. We actually purchased the art pieces. So tonight, I have the pleasure of introducing these four pieces, and we will do Kurt McHugh's first, which is called the Grouper Reef. And I have to tell you a cute little story real quick. When I was doing the visitation with the Art Society to look at the pieces that they had available, Councilmember Tim Cadell came in and was walking around and talking to me, and he says, "Oh, I like that piece." So I wanted to make sure that we got that one so that he can either pick someplace here to have it presented where everybody can see it, or put it up in council chambers where he can enjoy it. So this is the first piece, and if I can have Kurt come up, please. And as you can tell, it is a mix of media. Kurt is a member of the Pinellas Park Art Society. He grew up in the surrounding Florida communities and has been doing art most of his life. Kurt currently uses a sustainable material with natural resources. These green items include palm wood, bamboo, coconut, and recycled fences for most of his pieces, using acrylic paint and a special coating applied to protect them. He specializes in carvings and handcrafted each piece to bring a unique style and relaxation for the coast of Florida. We want to say thank you to you very much. I appreciate it. Yes. A check for you, and please continuing to provide your art for our community.
I will, thank you.
Thank you. The next is one that caught my attention. Wanted to make sure that the future generations don't forget about the previous generations. And this is a beautiful, is it charcoal or pencil? Pencil of Jimmy Stewart. And so the kids out there, the parents will have to explain to them who Jimmy Stewart is.
Grandparents. I was gonna ask you.
And Jean, if you come up, please. Jean is an award-winning photographer and painter and is currently the vice president of the Pinellas Park Art Society. For many years, his passions have been the ability to create art in various forms, woodworking and home renovation projects. Taking something raw in the beginning and nurturing it through a variety of stages brings him joy and appreciation when you are looking at the finished product. Gene's artistic abilities was inherited from his father. As a self-taught artist, he has worked with a variety of medias, including photography, pencils, pen, ink, charcoal, woodworking, watercolors, acrylic, and oil painting. His inspiration often comes from many years of scuba diving, which gave him an appreciation for the colors that surround him and surround us and the waters below. So I want to say thank you to you for doing this piece. And like I said, it drew my attention just to make sure that we don't forget our past and some of the other artists that are out there. So thank you. The next one is Kathy Prem. And let's see, we can just turn it around maybe and hang it. Is this Kathy? No. And a lot of times, I hope I'm speaking loud enough, we have staff members when we're doing Mayor's Choice Awards to fight over where paintings are going to become or the art. I have a funny feeling this will be one of those. This is called Black and Blue. Kathy was born and raised in New Jersey and has been a Florida resident since 2012. Her dad started teaching her to draw at a very young age and has given her her love for art. Kathy has dabbled in many varieties of arts, paintings over the years. She is mostly self-taught, with the exception of a few folk art classes that she took in the 90s. Most recently, Kathy has taken her love to abstract art using acrylics, flow method, alcohol ink, and mica powders, combined with her passion for working with resins. This marriage of medias took her beyond the canvas to what you see here today as her new contemporary res structure collection. And I just love the piece. It is three-dimensional and it just draws your eyes in. So thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. And last but not least is John's Walk in the Park. Are you stealing that one? There you go. Yeah. Thank you.
A rare moment, folks. A rare moment.
All right, this is John's Walk in the Park. John was born in Bavaria, Germany in 1950s to German parents. Do you go to the German American Club all the time? He and his family moved to the United States in 1955 and lived in Vermont. And then in the 1960s, his family moved to Clearwater. And he has spent most of his years in Pinellas County. He was interested in drawings as a teen and did some painting in his 20s. He obtained his contractor's license in 1989, retiring from this field in 2008. During those years, he created drawings, watercolors, leatherwork, and custom furniture. After retiring, he was making clocks, furniture, pictures, picture frames, and oil paintings. And in 2019, he studied Bob Ross. I think everybody knows who Bob Ross is. Bob Ross's techniques and painting over a dozen landscapes using what he had learned. And in 2022, he switched to acrylic paints and studied several master painters to learn the different techniques. And I hope you guys can see the reason why I picked this piece as well. So thank you very much, sir. And we have a video that we are going to put on the screen for the Art Society.
Good evening. My name is Tricia Lynn Bush, and I'm the proud president of the Pinellas Park Art Society. Tonight's a very special evening, one that is anticipated by our members almost more than anything else all year long. So tonight, because I can't be there in person, I wanted to send a special video message to John Hasney, Kurt McHugh, Kathy Prim, and our very own special Vice President, Jean Weller. I offer my congratulations on work well done. Congratulations to each of you. Enjoy your evening.
Vice Mayor Seville.
Yes, Mayor, before you get started, I don't know if y'all heard it, but during the Pledge of Allegiance, I heard these two young people saying it, and they were saying it loudly, and I just want to congratulate you guys because it's very refreshing hearing young people. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you very much. I had mentioned that to Bart, that it's always wonderful to hear kids say the Pledge of Allegiance. Gives you hope for the future when the kids are being raised by good parents. Our next item is for any citizens who would like to speak to come up. They have 3 minutes. If they're in a group, we will give 5 minutes if they're speaking on behalf of the group. The first one is Boyd Bethany. If I'm pronouncing that right, I apologize. Name and address for the record.
Boyd Bethany, 9204 66th Street.
My first time speaking in public, so I'm a little nervous. But there's some things I'd like to address. There's many things I'd like to address and bring light to, but not tonight. I will go with the most recent thing is with my kids' rec center. My kids are under the supervision of the Florence Rec Center for 2 years, summer camp and during school. August 9th, they would write, which I have all their statements and things that they've made of little quirky things he's done that they went against their policies or their rules. That they would write up and, of course, let me know what was going on, if he scraped his knee, if he hit his head, whatever. I'd get a phone call, I'd have to pick him up. But August 9th, I guess he had made some statements that he wanted to kill himself and burn himself, which on that day they wrote him up, not only suspended him due to going down the slip and slide wrong, didn't advise me of anything. Sent him home to me with no information preview to me. So, I go to sleep thinking everything's fine and dandy and that, he's suspended for breaking the rules of going down a slip and slide wrong. So a day and a half later, not only that night, but then the whole day until the next day, officer shows up at my house and she pulls into my community, which I have never seen come into the community. So I was like, wow, that must be like for a kid or something. Let me just see what's going on. So I approached the officer and I asked if he was looking for a particular unit number, and he said my unit number. And I said, well, that's my house and that's my child. So he said that, we're here to check on your child, that there's some concerning statements that were made, and we're here to, make sure everything's okay. I said, oh, really? What's those statements? And he said, what the people had said that he said. that he wanted to burn himself and kill himself. I said, well, wow. I said, well, that don't sound like my son. I said, yeah, maybe you should come over and talk to him. So I invited the officer into my home, and we started talking, and he asked my son if he's going to tell the truth. And then the officer looked at me, and I said, well, he should. I don't know why he wouldn't. So then the officer proceeds to talk to him, ask him if he's okay, this, that. Apparently they had set my son on a hot bench, would not allow him to get up. He said, no, I did not say that. I said that the table was burning me, and that they would not allow him. That they did call me like usual to come get him. He had broke the rules. Come get him. He can no longer participate in water day. He didn't allow him to go into the AC. And so when I got there that evening on August 9th to pick up my son, and I got the report of the minor infractions of the rules that he broke that he got suspended for. I have to find out through an officer that he had made these statements. I said, well, we're done talking. As soon as I should be fine enough. I went over to the rec center and I addressed the situation with the person who runs the facility, Keith. And he pretty much tells me, I tell him, I say, hey, listen, you just open yourself up for a lawsuit. Okay. I don't know where you go around. If it's so necessary to call police, why didn't you feel it's necessary to call me? I'm his father. You'll write up all this other stuff and let me know that, but these statements, I don't need to know. I said, I don't want to hear no. Just give me all the little infractions he did and all this, and I'll be on the way. They come back. The police come back to my house because I called them and I said, hey, I want to press charges for neglect. Well, they go over there. They're being very obtuse about going over there, very evasive about going over there, but they decide to go over, which I wasn't privy to what happened until I got the body cam footage. But he comes back to my house with 4 officers, and I said, well, why is there 4 officers at my house and not over there? He says, oh, we'll get to that. So he goes, basically, that they're going to trespass me from the property, that I'm hostile, which I had video that I was not hostile. I had a girl videotaping the whole incident, which I have proof of that. So then I go and get the evidence from the police station for the body cam footage. And on this body cam footage, it shows the officer sitting there talking, and he says, well, he wants you arrested. And he goes, like it's a joke. Not once did he ask, is my son okay? So, they're being like buddy-buddy. They get the director, Heidi, I believe, or someone who runs the rec center, and the chief of police is on the phone. Through the body cam, you can hear all this. So she says, oh, I looked him up. He looks violent. So they're profiling me. Well, I thought this was about my son, right? So not only did they do that, they say, well, we can make up a water lie. This, that. So it's okay to lie. So you're teaching your staff it's okay to lie. That's acceptable. And then on top of that, it's just I'm not being heard. So then when I go get the other evidence, which I was told from the police department to go to the waterworks section to get the video footage from the rec center, so it would prove that I'm not hostile and all this, 4 officers show up over there and ask me, well, where else are you going in the city today? Well, what did I do? I've already been helped. Like, how can we help you? They're saying I'm being, some kind of way over there, which is not true. And I guess Chris Wade had called, said, oh, we're hostile. So, well, you got video camera in here? Because that's going to prove that you just made a false police call, because that's not true at all. So, I don't know who to talk to. I've called the governor. I've actually called the people who run the rec centers of Pinellas County, and you're not even licensed. The facility's not even licensed, so they can't do nothing. I've tried to talk to police, and they've treated me a certain way. Send me corrupt files that I paid for, says corrupt, do not open on my computer. And also lack of files that I've asked for. I don't feel like I'm being heard or helped. I don't know what to do. I'm hoping that someone here today can help me. And there's some more stuff I'd like to bring to the light. I don't think this is the time, especially, with 3 minutes. But that's pretty much why I'm here, is to ask for guidance and help through the city that I've lived in for 28 years in the same home. If, you could please help. And maybe...
Boyd, thank you. I let you go on.
I heard the buzz. I appreciate it. Thank you.
If you could leave your phone number, then we will try our best to have somebody reach out to you and talk to you about that privately. All of our citizens are more than welcome to send emails to city council members if they want to bring up something or just check on a project that's going on in our community.
There's some video and some evidence I would like people to actually see, you know, for what it is. I really should. I don't. When you see it, it's all laid out. What I'm going to show that it's clear evidence of what it is. You know, it shows for itself.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
We still got the picture of you with your horse and the kids. If you remember that picture of that.
Thank you. The next person is Connie Maury.
Hello. So we're following up on a meeting we attended on April of 23. So we have a bunch of people here from the community. So if you guys all stand up, we just all figured we'd all come and we all kind of compiled our questions. So I'm not sure who all was here at that meeting. I remember your dad was, because he was the one that helped us a lot, because he did the had them come to our community. We had a lot of concerns with the property that is on US 19 Frontage Road of what's they're putting in there. So that's what we came for. It's been quiet for a while, but now I see they're starting to come along with building things. So we just had a little concerns, and we just kind of wanted to let you all know that we are kind of watching and want to make sure that it's monitored. So we just have a few questions. So the first question we have is, so when they really weren't sure what was being put in at the time, so they said that it was going to be a light industrial, which the decibels would have been, I think it was the lower level of a conversation at certain times. So I pulled up the noise ordinance, and the noise ordinance, I read through it. So the reason why I'm concerned with the noise ordinance is it says that, you know, Monday through Saturday, and the dates, it doesn't say anything about holidays. So are holidays included in when they're permitted to work, and they have to abide by the the levels of noise? So Christmas Day at 7:45, they were pounding, making a fence, which we're very grateful that they're doing the fence, because the fence is very nice. But it was Christmas morning, and then they did again New Year's Day. So I'm not sure if you're all familiar with the property we're talking about, but it goes right across the whole back of our community. So any noise there, any dirt, any chemicals, anything goes over the fence over to our property, which has been a very quiet property up till now.
Springwood too.
Springwood too. Mm-hmm. So the second thing that we were so anyhow, so that was, I think, what kind of prompted a little bit more of this, because it was Christmas morning, it was early, you know, and the fence is beautiful. It actually is bigger than what we thought it was going to be. So the second questions we have is, so along with the fence, they were going to do trees. So they took down all of the trees that were beautiful, big trees, because they wanted to renovate that. But they did say they were going to put trees up. They are supposed to plant trees. So I guess our question is, how many trees, the type of trees, and the time frame of the planting, because it is starting, we're getting a lot of dirt and a lot of noise that's coming over the fence into the atriums which are our backyards. So that's a concern. Other concerns are, once the preparation of the land is complete, what are the plans for the area? Because when they said that day, they really didn't have a plan. We've noticed, I went through and drove through. I noticed there's a whole bunch of different properties. There's a water place back there where they're like delivering water and things like that. So we don't know whether it's going to be, we see Barcelona with the big cranes. So we're not sure, is it going to be a whole bunch of different things? They never really gave us a plan. They did come to meet with us, but at that time he said they're really not sure what they were planning on doing. So they are renovating. There is a retention pond in the front. We're not sure if they're going to plan on doing anything with that, because it's really stagnant. The water looked very stagnant, and it's all along 102, which is another concern. And the motorcycles, they were supposed to not allow the motorcycles, and 10 o'clock at night, you can hear them zooming through. So that started again just lately. So it's like really weird. It's been very quiet for a couple of years, like for about a year or so. But this past year, we've noticed that things are starting to come. I don't know whether they just thought maybe we would forget about it, but it really is affecting our community and our day-to-day life. And then we want to know, is the city overseeing the project? Yeah, we're not sure about that. We want to be good neighbors. We just want them to be good neighbors, and they promised that they would when they came to visit us. And let's see, I'm trying to think. And then the decibel levels too. We were just curious because it was supposed to be zoned for light industrial. Is that still the same? I'm not sure that you guys have the answers to these tonight. I had called City Hall, wanted to be put on the agenda, but she said that maybe the first step is better just to come speak now and then, give everybody a chance to see our concerns. So,
If you will give us your phone number,
Sure.
then we can have staff reach out to you.
perfect, thank you.
Generally, I do know that the landscaping is put in, the landscaping is put in after all of the building stuff is finished.
right.
It's not usually put in ahead of that schedule.
And we did notice
And I
that,
do remember them saying that there were several trees that they were going to be taking out
Mhm.
in order to start the process of,
right,
I could have sworn around the back side of it, abutting your fence,
Right.
was going to be a storage area, a portion of it.
that's what we thought too, yeah.
So-
And I know they haven't done anything with the storage area. All we've noticed lately is the cranes.
Well, the Barcelona,
that was always been there.
Barcelona is totally separate piece of property.
That's what I guess that was the other thing.
Yeah.
Are they gonna be putting like a bunch of different, businesses in there? We don't know. We don't even know who owns it.
The original plan, prior to what was going on now,
Mm-hmm,
did have the capabilities of putting in several different warehouses with the original plans
okay.
back, in the 90s.
Yeah, and like again, like with the noise ordinances, I guess that was our big concern. I mean, are holidays included in your noise ordinance? I mean, should they be working at Christmas morning at 7:30? It doesn't say anything about holidays when I
Yeah.
printed it out. It just says,
I don't know that holidays, generally, it's not in the ordinance, but generally most businesses don't run on the holidays. But if, with the hurricanes and everything else we've had, they might have had some kind of time crunch.
Yeah.
If they had to get something done
yeah,
in
and
order
that,
to meet a deadline.
right, and I agree, and we understand that. And it's just that we just don't want them to think we're being complacent, that we're just going to forget about it. It's been a year and a half now, and they're just now starting to kind of come around again. Because for a while it was very quiet. So, and we don't want to
Well,
cause trouble. It's just kind of
if
want
you
to.
give us your phone number,
I have it here.
then we can have staff kind of give your group an
Okay.
update on it.
Yep.
Councilmember Butler.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank you all for coming out tonight and being proactive about your concerns. I do get excited when we have a nice full audience because people are engaged and plugged in, even though it's usually something not great. But nonetheless, I appreciate you guys coming out. I just want to kind of emphasize something that was mentioned earlier, like you can reach out to us anytime. Our emails, our contact information is out there. If you want to reach out to me privately, I give you my phone number, like anything like that. I appreciate you guys coming in, but y'all don't have to come in here to get answers or feedback from us. You can email me. I can connect you with staff. You can call me anytime. So I just want to say thank you and just remind y'all, I appreciate you taking the time to come back every 2 weeks. We have a great time here. But I just want to save you guys some time and just make sure you can stay connected with us anytime. You don't have to come here to it. It's efficient to address all of us, but you can also email us.
Yeah, we just kind of wanted to come at once to start the ball rolling.
I'm with you. But thank you for coming. Nope.
Oh, no.
Nope.
Not at all. We appreciate you guys coming out, and those of you that pay attention on our website or through Facebook or what have you to watch the council meetings as well. Thank you. To stay informed on what's going on in the community. Thank you, guys. Is there any other citizen that would like to come up and speak this evening that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, we will move on to have anybody who's going to speak on a quasi judicial item and city staff to stand up and be sworn in for that. We'll wait a second. Okay.
May I second this?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to section 2, approval of minutes. Councilmember Butler.
Mayor, make a motion, we approve regular council minutes of the December 12th, 2024 meeting as on file in the city clerk's office.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussions? All those in favor? Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
This evening, we're going to be moving to the bottom of the agenda item. Our regular agenda items are 1 and R2 before we start our public hearings. And the regular agenda items are 1, 2024 Library Board Annual Report.
Sorry, I'm looking confused. We do have a video.
Okay.
Okay.
I wanted to show you, and I don't see Kendrick. Oh, okay.
I hear you.
Video for the library board, please, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, we're going to show you around the library today and talk about our growth in the last year and some of the things we offer. Come in. Let's go to the right first. Past our DVD collection, we have magazines, puzzles, and honor books. Our honor books don't have to be checked out. We have them for those that can't get a regular library card. We have a seating area here where patrons can relax. This year, we began counting our patrons in the building every hour and found that we have between 50 and 60 people in the building at any given time of the day, and that doesn't include people in our programs. Our highest count was on September 16th when we had 100 people using the library, reading books to their children, accessing our computers, and studying. Our Spanish collection recently moved to accommodate its growth. The Hispanic Outreach Center is a frequent partner of the library, and their flyers can be found here as well. This year, 42% of our adult programs involved a partner organization. Let's walk around here now. This is where our adult fiction collection is. We also have large print books available and service to homebound citizens who cannot make it to the library due to disability. Many more people are using our digital collections with Hoopla and Libby this year than any year before. Our digital checkouts increased by 25% last year. This means our digital checkouts are now almost 30% of our total circulation. This means that more people are reading in the way that works best for them than ever. In front of us is one of our study rooms. Patrons can use these study rooms for individual group study sessions on a first-come, first-served basis. This year, we had 2,285 study room reservations, up 30% from last year. Let's check out the teen room next. Our teen room provides a space for teens to study, read, go on the computers, do crafts, and relax in their own space. We do plenty of teen programming here as well. This is the reference desk. It provides patrons with help regarding resources, technology, printing, forms, and so much more. This is where patrons can ask about adult library programs. This year, our Adult Services Department had 195 programs, an increase of 60% over last year. That increased our program attendance by that much also. The reference desk isn't just for adult library programs. The department helps patrons find resources on food and housing security, has tax forms folks need to complete, and where patrons can ask for things like book recommendations and information about local and city resources. The reference desk can also request materials from any library in the country using a shared database. This is also where adults without children present can access computers. Citizens use our PCs heavily. On a typical day, there are 115 computer sessions and 60 wireless sessions. Patrons use our computers to find jobs, government assistance, fill out needed forms, schoolwork, print needed documents, and of course for fun. In January, we will be adding printing from wireless devices, which will add further value for citizens. Let's go to the children's area next. The children's desk is where kids and parents can find books, DVDs, video games, and learning or game kits to check out. They can also register for children's programs here. Last year, we had over 300 children's programs, from early literacy programs to teen events. Over 4,000 people attended those events. Now that you've seen what the library has to offer, let's show you where you can access all of it by getting a free library card at the checkout desk. We've had a big year with circulation statistics. Our creation of new library cards has increased every year for the past 3 years. This year, almost 50% of our checkouts were from Pinellas Park residents. This shows we are consistently growing a collection that meets the needs of our citizens. Thanks for walking around the library with us. We hope you come visit us again soon.
That was nice.
Thank you. I do want to shout out to Kendrick, who's back there, and staff, Jenny Morales, Amanda Cox, and Ian Hurley. They helped me with the library annual report this year and also helped put together the video. Kendrick did a great job of taking all the words and images we had and making that video. We're going to use it actually on our website and use it for programming too. So we're kind of happy about that. It's been a very good year for the library. Before I get too far, though, could the library board members stand up for me? I want to recognize Trish Lee. She's the library chair. Sarah Nieves, vice chair. Missy Gonzalez, Emmy Mullen, Joanne Cherry, and Pat Bennett. And they're all here to see the library.
I would say a few of your volunteers have been volunteering for a long, long time.
Yes, they have. Yeah. Joanne actually recently became a library board member, but she's been a member of the Friends for ever. Yeah, forever. I want to talk a little bit about the library because some of the things we noticed this year is that we are busier. Staff talk to each other. We're like, this is different than it has been in the past. So we started keeping track of how many people were in the building. Every hour we walk around, how many people are actually using the library, whether they're using computers, whether they have their kids with books, and we found that we are actually busier than we've ever been. It's kind of exciting, not just because it's great to be a center, but it also is because people are using the library for what a library should be used for. They're looking up job opportunities. They're attending our programs. They're just reading our books. They're learning about our electronic resources. It's kind of a wonderful thing. And we started our 5-star training customer service program in 2023, and it's resulted in a very high level of customer service. We started saying 5-star because Google has 1 to 5 stars on their ratings, and we get a lot of 5 stars, and it's kind of fantastic. I do want to talk a little bit about the strategic goals because honestly, that's what we're working for all year, and it's in your annual report. It is so exciting that we are at more library cards held by Pinellas Park citizens than we have before COVID. Everyone was worried that people would stop coming to other outside entertainment or outside resources, and that's not true in the library. We have more people coming in the library than ever before, and that's been fueled by a yearly increase in the number of new library cards that we're giving out every year. It's really fantastic. We keep track of how many people who come to our program and who are Pinellas Park citizens because we want to be serving our citizens. And you see that the youth services numbers kind of dropped from last year. But what's funny about that is we actually have more programs and more attendance overall, and we're kind of becoming a place where people go outside the city for children's programming. It's just kind of a nice thing. We're really highly regarded in the community. Our adult programming is continuing to bring in more of our citizens. But the last statistic that I really want to talk about that really excites me is 47% of the checkouts we have are from our citizens, which means so for us library nerds, it's kind of exciting because it takes a long time to move a collection in a direction. It takes everything from getting the right books to listening to our patrons and what they want to literally cleaning the bookshelves and making sure the shelves are in good order because people don't check out books that are dirty. They don't check out books on shelves that are unorganized. And that's what everybody in the building does. Sorry, I get emotional about it. It's kind of cool. It's just a great thing to take an entire collection and move it that way, and it's been moving that way for years. I think it's going to improve. I do have a couple of comments about the photos in the center. Some of you actually have come and read books to our children, and we have a firefighter there. We had a great time. I also want to talk about in the bottom right of the first page, it's our Bad Art Night, which has created its own small community. And what happens with library programs, which is kind of great, is that we create mini communities of people who come to a program because they're interested in something, and then they meet each other, and then they continue and they attend those programs over and over again. Just this month, I noticed that there are 2 other libraries in the county that are now doing Bad Art Nights. And I'm just saying, it might be because it's what we're doing.
Stealing our ideas.
Exactly. I did mention the new library. I moved 2 pages to the highlights page. New library cards every year. People are coming to the library. More people come to the library every year. It's just fantastic. Program attendance, it's crazy. It's up 44% for the youth services program, and it's up 48% for the adult services program. More people come to the library. We have programs also that are more partnership programs. Adult partner programs increased 42%, which means we're not using staff resources to bring people in the library. And some of those partnership programs have made a big difference. We had a hearing testing program, and one of the families brought their child, and they discovered something that the family didn't know about the child's hearing. I mean, just one little small thing that happened that made a big difference. I'm going to take a quick look at some of my notes because it's just been kind of a good year. This year we began the Civic Rec implementation, which is the software that leisure services use, both the rec department and libraries use for program registration and for getting meeting rooms and for facility rentals. We are now going to be able to have people reserve their spaces and programs online. It's always been a problem because we're not always open all the time, and people, they're busy and they've got kids, and by the time they put the kids to bed, they can't call the library and reserve get down for a program, and now they can. And that started the beginning of this month. We had Smokey the Bear come to our summer reading program. That doesn't sound like a big deal, but let me tell you, it is a big, big deal. We had a FAFSA partnership with the schools where we had 55 students complete their financial aid forms. Actually, it was more because 2 of them had to come back because there were some language difficulties, but we kept them complete their programs, their applications also. We're going to do that again next year. Their dyslexia screening that we had was the largest they had at that point for that group, that partnership group. Coming up next year, it's a crazy big year. We're partnering with NASA and Tampa Bay Times to do STEM fairs for grades 5 to 8. There's going to be multiple ones of those. This is very exciting for us. By the end of this month, because we're in the middle of installing it, patrons will be able to send their prints to the library from home or from their phone and pick them up and pay for them at the reference desk. It's and also not only that, they can pay by credit card, which has always been an issue. That's going to be a fantastic service we offer the citizens. We will be renovating the library lobby and restrooms and updating old fixtures. We're closing on a decision for a mural for the front of the library, hopefully by the end of this month. And we'll have a sculpture out front also by the end of this month. It's kind of a big year. Doing a good job. I couldn't be more proud of the hard work and dedication the library staff have done this year. We all want to make a difference.
I noticed that there was a part of the video showed people that were using sign language.
Yes.
So is that
program.
a program that
Yep.
you guys are offering as well to teach people?
Yep, Thursday nights, 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Yep.
I just wanted to say thank you for your passion and your dedication, because showing how passionate you are about it is how come it's so good. And all these people over here, I know some of them, and it just shows how much it has grown, and it's just awesome. So thank you for making, again, Pinellas Park the best there is. And anybody that is following what you're doing means that we're the best. So thank you very much for that.
I really have to thank my staff. They are very hardworking group of people.
Yeah, well, thank all of you. Smile, Emily.
Vice Chair Seville.
Yes, Mayor. Thank you. It was a great presentation, and I do appreciate everything you do. On your toddler times,
Mhm.
are you allowed to attend each time?
So we have themes, and we do them more than once. So yes, you can attend all of our toddler times, but because, well, we're so popular, we don't want to limit people from being able to attend those themes. So what'll happen is that you can register for one of the 2 sessions for each theme.
Because I believe years ago, it used to be you could bring your grandchild or your child in, go through toddler times or story hours, whatever it is. But now you're saying we're kind of limited or have to pre-register? Is that what?
Yeah, well,
Understand.
we've been doing registration for a long time because our early literacy programming, it's really designed to encourage kids and teach kids how to get to that starting to read kind of experience, and that takes a little bit more attention and time. And so we have to limit the size. And that's why we offer multiple ones. So we can have more ones that people can attend.
So when you're limiting the size, are you
Mhm.
limiting the number of kids that can go to it or no?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, that being said, we also have more programs where we're not doing that. We have pop-up programming where you can just show up and attend. But for the ones that are geared towards specific age groups, we want to make sure that those groups get the early literacy training that they need to move to the next step.
Very good. Thank you.
Councilmember Butler.
Thanks, Mayor, and thanks, Dave, you and your staff for everything you do. I do have a new participant in some of the child programs there, so she loves it. I just had a quick question for you. When you're talking about the number of library cards, because it's been a minute since I don't have a library card. I'm going to come get one just so I help your numbers out because I do like libraries. But is there they expire? Is there? Okay, so when you're saying you have 18 or several thousand, that's current that are green, good to go.
Yeah,
library
they expire every 3 years.
Okay.
And you'll notice if you look at the annual report, there was a big drop. During COVID, one of the ways libraries coped with people not being able to literally come to the building and show us their ID was we accepted more people coming in than we probably would have normally. And then we kept people on the rolls for longer than we should because it's really unfair to say, oh, your card's expired, can't check anything out, can't use your Libby app to get a book or whatever. And so at that point, we then did a purge of all the ones that had actually expired after COVID. So there was that big drop.
Perfect. Thank you.
And we're going up. So
that's good.
Nice.
Very good. Thank you.
Sure thing.
Thank you to staff and all of the volunteers.
Thank you, everybody, for your support.
The next is item R2. And
Excuse me,
for the
Mayor,
record,
we need a motion on
Oh,
approving the
okay,
library
to
report.
accept it. Okay. May I have a motion to Councilmember Butler?
Mayor, make a motion. We approve the 2024 Library Board Annual Report.
Second the motion.
Motion has been made in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Item R2, which is ordinance number 2025-01. For the record, I'm going to be abstaining from this vote. I have a conflict because the presenter and owner is my boss. So I will not be voting on this item or being a part of the discussion.
With that, we're now on ordinance 2025-01. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, amending the city's official zoning map by providing for a change in the zoning district for a certain parcel of land generally located at parcel number 17-30-16-69750-100-1809 and 17-30-16-69750-100-1806, and more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached here to and made a part hereof, changing the zoning district from rural residential to single-family residential, that's RR to R3, and adopting a master plan and supporting documentation for a residential planned unit development, RPUD, overlay within the underlying single-family residential R3 zoning for a 14-lot single-family subdivision. certifying consistency with the city's adopted comprehensive plan, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date. This is REZ 2025-00001 and PUD 1025-0001, Northside Engineering Incorporated. This is being done as a quasi-judicial hearing, and for the benefit of the council, in a quasi-judicial hearing, you are not making the law, you are applying the established law to the facts and competent substantial evidence presented to you today. Before we begin, has any member of this council had any ex parte communications with the applicant or the agent, aside from the mayor and her recusal? So have any of you talked to the applicant or their agent? Seeing none. With that, have any of you done a site visit for the limited purpose of evaluating the relief requested in this rezoning application?
Nope.
All right. Seeing none. With that, we proceed with the hearing, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Bob to do a presentation on the actual property.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bob Bernhardt, Senior Planner. I'll be presenting R2.
You have handouts, Bob?
We weren't sure if we were going to be doing a full presentation tonight because of the different agenda.
Thank you.
All right, so this is a request to rezone from rural residential RR zoning to single-family residential R3 zoning with a residential planned unit development RPUD overlay to develop a 14-lot single-family home subdivision. Here's an aerial map of the properties. There are two of them adjacent to one another. They're located at 11227 60th Street North, just a bit northeast of 110th Avenue. The subject properties are designated RL on the land use plan map, and their existing zoning, as I mentioned, is RR. Parcels are located in flood zone X, which is a low-risk flood zone. Here we've just put up some of the maximum allowable densities per the current zoning here. So as you can see, directly across the street to the west, we have 8.7 units per acre, some smaller lots. To the north is the lower density at 0.8 units per acre. To the east, there's a potential for 12.5 units per acre multifamily development. To the south, 5.8 units per acre, very, very similar development to what's being proposed here. And to the southwest is 4.3 units per acre, the same R3 zoning that's being sought in this case. Here's the proposed PUD master plan. We've just called out a couple items for your attention. So as you can see, the 14 lots, there would be some common HOA property up front with 2 retention ponds. This would be a private gated right-of-way. There's a large mature oak up near the entrance that's proposed to be preserved. There would be a right-of-way dedication per our subdivision code along 60th Street North, an amenity boardwalk around one of the retention ponds, and as I just mentioned, very, very comparable density and layout to that adjacent subdivision. So to summarize, this is a rezoning of 3.41 acres total from RR to R3 with that PUD overlay for 14 lots. The existing residential low RL land use is already compatible with the proposed R3 zoning. So that current density allows 2.1 units per acre. What's being proposed, the R3 would allow 4.3. Again, with that private gated right-of-way, it would be an internal road, so not maintained by the city. All utilities other than potable water would be private, and those stormwater ponds as well. As a part of this, there would be a condition of approval as well that the developer will be required to perform a sanitary sewer study for the lift station that services this site, and then upgrade the facility as needed. There are a couple items that the applicant is requesting some relief due to those long, narrow lots we've been talking about. So the R3 maximum lot coverage is 60%. There are just 2 lots there that would just be slightly above that at 61.1. And then some of the other lots are under that maximum. The R3 minimum front setbacks would be 25 feet. There are lots 6 through 9 there, the internal cul-de-sac ones. So the kind of most internal lots would have a 10-foot front setback, but as you can sort of see with the layout, it really doesn't impact anything. They can meet the minimum driveway length and things like that. And then as well, the only other relief that's being sought is just some tweaks to the minimum lot dimensions here. So as you can see up top, the area, typical minimum for R3 would be 10,000 square feet, width of 80 feet, 95 feet for corner lots, and a depth of 100 feet. And then I've just broken it down towards the bottom. For the most part, they meet. There are a handful of lots that would be a bit under that minimum area, and then the width as well. Staff findings are as follows. The rezoning from RR to R3 with an RPUD overlay is appropriate based on the surrounding zoning. The proposal meets the intent of the proposed R3 zoning per the Land Development Code, and the requested map amendment is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the adopted comprehensive plan, as well as the regulations of the Land Development Code. Staff recommends approval of these cases with that same sanitary sewer study for lift station 56 and potential improvements to it as needed as a condition of approval. And at the December 5th, 2024 meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended denial of these cases. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Seville.
Yeah, what utilities are going to be public down that roadway?
None, basically. The only thing our utilities team agreed to was, I believe, that potable water line that runs through there. It'd be in that grassy strip, sort of the blue.
So that's going to be maintained by the city, the potable. How about the reclaim water line?
I believe all that would be privately maintained.
The reclaim's going to be privately maintained.
That's my understanding based on the discussions with
So it's going
utilities.
to be master metered out at the 60th Street.
Yeah, per the new meter standards.
And you're also wanting to double the densities?
Correct.
Correct. You want to double the density up there so as to put more impact on our infrastructure. And if you go to the north, you were saying that this is compatible. You're saying compatible just to the one neighbor, but not two neighbors down?
No, just in terms of, like, again, the maximum allowable density, it's very comparable. In some of them, for example, the neighborhood directly to the west, that's much higher density, the T1 zoning over there. We already have R3 zoning to the southwest. The subdivision to the south is very, very similar in terms of density and things like that. So it's really to the north.
I don't think there's as many I don't think the property to the south is as densely built as what you're proposing.
When I looked at the numbers, it was almost the same, and some slightly smaller ones.
And I see you're also asking for smaller lot sizes?
A couple of them due to the lot layout.
Can you go back to that sheet? No, one more.
Oh, whoops.
So lots 1 through 6, and then 9 through 14.
Mhm.
To me, that's more than a couple lots.
Sure.
It's quite a few. It's really all but 3. All but 3, right? No, 7 and 8. Yeah, all but 2.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. And we haven't posted this for the neighbors yet, right?
It's going out now.
Right, but we haven't done it yet. Yeah. Right. It's a lot of impact on our infrastructure.
I'm sorry, what did you say about that?
I'm
Just
sorry.
one moment. City Council asked first, and then we open it to the applicant and then others. So just one moment. Councilwoman Reed.
I really wish, since we took the time to put this together, that we would have had those in paper. Because I like to look at them as you're talking and go through that and not have to. So I really wish we would have taken the time to give us the information on paper.
I'm sorry, it was on consent, so I'm sorry about that.
I know, but if you put a thing together, it's just easier for me to go back and forth and see it. So just call me whatever, but I just really like to see it. Can you go back to the aerial, please? So the north is at the top, yes?
Yes.
So you're saying the subdivision to the south is the exact same layout as what they're proposing?
Well, not
with
exactly
the pond
the same.
and everything?
Very similar, though.
But-
Not the same.
Not the same. So how many houses are to the south?
I believe that was 14 as well. I think it's called Summerfield Estates.
14 with the lake. pond.
Yeah, and that's got a house on it. Yep.
And then to the, sorry, I'm not good at this. I have to do that little we thing. So to the west, you're saying is, but it doesn't have as many houses, but it could have. It's zoned for it.
Directly to the west?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the T1 zoning. That's much more dense.
More dense than what that is.
Yes.
So they already are zoned to be able to put in more houses than what is there.
Yeah, the T1 is zoning is designed for the mobile homes on their own individually owned lots, typically. And many of them are converting to traditional single family now.
Okay. And then to the north is
RE.
And how many can they have?
Oh, I believe it's 0.8. 0.8.
Point. So it's
less
than one per acre. So that one's less.
Mhm.
And then the one to the east.
That's the PEMS site.
Okay.
But theoretically, public zoning can allow up to 12.5 units per acre multifamily.
So this backs up to PEMS?
Mm-hmm.
Go back to the thing. I'm trying to figure out where it's at.
Or I think
Back-
PEMS actually changed their name. But
it's just north of
It's right behind it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilmember Butler.
Thank you, Mayor. So because this went from consent to R1, did that change the requirement for how this was advertised? Or no, not at all? No,
No.
because this is still the first read. Okay, thank you.
So also, we're limited on the number of RR zonings we have in our community. Properties RR, which is 188. So you're wanting to take this down to 186. No, the applicant is.
Okay.
Yeah. Not you. Hopefully we don't get there. Thank you very much.
This is first reading prior to public hearing and is quasi-judicial. At this time, the applicants may come forward and speak, name and address for the record, and whether you were sworn in or not.
Good evening. My name is Pushko Vahi. I'm with Northside Engineering, 300 South Belcher Road. I have been sworn in, and with me ownership. Bruce, would you introduce yourself?
Bruce 2, 5590 64th Avenue North, Pinellas Park, 3378. I've been sworn.
So during the Planning and Zoning Board, I was not available. I was out of town at another meeting. Although staff made good presentation, but they did not have enough knowledge with the project to present it to the Planning and Zoning Board. So I feel that if he had had a little bit more information, maybe the outcome would have been a little bit different. So Bob Bernhardt eloquently described the project. Looking at the public hearing that you all had, the neighbors were concerned about drainage. They were concerned about the traffic. So we have talked to a traffic consultant, and if it needs to be, I'll be more than happy to bring him with us next public hearing. As far as the drainage is concerned, site will be drained, so drainage calculations will be provided. SwiftMud would have to look at the site. Your city staff will have to look at the drainage. So there's absolutely no concerns with drainage. We'll not only meet code, we'll exceed your code. This project, as you see, is compatible with the neighborhood in three sides: west, east, and south, and not to the north. And as you see to the south, we're looking at 5.8 units an acre to the west, 8.7 units an acre northwest, and southwest 4.3. That's exactly what we are looking to request. We're requesting that. And of course, to the east is PEMS, and that's 12.5 units an acre. So we feel that it's pretty compatible. Looking at the aerial that you all just did, that property to the south almost mimics exactly what we are requesting. It's almost exact. So I feel that this project is compatible. The staff has recommended approval. We agree with the conditions that the staff has set forth. We're dedicating a portion of the land to the city, providing a nice sidewalk across 60th. Project will be nicely landscaped. It will definitely meet the image of Pinellas Park. It'll be consistent with your vision. We have a wonderful ownership that is looking to build there, and he also has many properties in Pinellas Park. Bruce, would you talk about some of the other private properties that you have, and so that the city knows you're not a developer from out of town?
Sure. I've been a resident of the city of Pinellas Park from 1999 on and off. I currently live in the city of Pinellas Park. I also own a sports complex, some of you know, on 49th Street, BT Sports Academy. We work a lot with kids in the city of Pinellas Park. We have programs for kids that can't afford to play sports, and that's one of our proud programs that we offer. I have other properties in the city of Pinellas Park. I love the city. My kids grew up in Pinellas Park and would like to see growth and the city grow. So thank you for your time.
So we'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Vice Mayor Seville.
Yes, Hoosh, thank you very much. I just can't see putting that many homes on that size of property. And when you talk about the image of Pinellas Park, that's why we have R&R zoning. That's why we have RE zoning. That's why we have farm zoning. That's the image of Pinellas Park. Now, I know people want to change that image because they built condominiums all along US 19. But that's not the image that Pinellas Park's known for. And to ask for all but two I don't know what Bob called it, but to reduce the size of all but two of the lots, you're just forcing more on there. And that does put a greater impact on not just what it looks like, but on our utilities, on our infrastructure. And I know you talked about that sidewalk. That's just part of it. We got a sidewalk going all the way up that street this year, I believe, Mr. Diebold. And you're just required to put that in anyway, but it's just, again, we're taking properties and we're overdeveloping it and putting more work on our infrastructure.
So if you were,
just my opinion,
and I appreciate that, if you were the ownership and developer, how many lots? I mean, as you sit as a council member, as a vice mayor, how many lots would you think that this lot should have?
Well, I think it'd be real nice if there was 4 on each separate piece of property. Total of 8.
Total of 8. I can talk to the ownership and maybe reduce it by 1 or 2, if that earns any of your trust.
Oh, I trust in you and I trust in this gentleman, but that number wouldn't work for me.
Okay.
But that's just
Councilmember
me.
Butler.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I mean, I completely understand and appreciate the delicate balance of, trying to make things better. And we have had a lot of success with these types of projects, but my heartburn too is just the number. It's a high number, and I'm happy to go to bat for property owners to talk about, hey, they have a right to develop their property and those things. But the other side of that is, justifying the impact that has on the street, on that neighborhood, on the infrastructure, and all those parts and pieces. So the number is my biggest sticking point. So.
And I appreciate that. So if you look at the property to the south, and they have 14 lots there, right? Do you all know when that was built?
Does anybody?
Jim Madden built it. That was a Madden subdivision.
I see. Okay. But the city had to approve it, right?
Yeah, they made mistakes.
What the properties to the west then, like 8.5 units an acre, how about that? Or 12 units an acre, 12.5 to the east. Let's say, let's just work on, let's say 60th Avenue. So we have
60th
8.5 units an acre to the northwest and 4.3 to the southwest and 5.8 immediately south of us. I mean, these are the numbers. Is our property any different than the property just to the south of us or to the west of us?
Well, the property to the southeast of you where you put 5 homes instead of 3, yeah.
We're talking about the subdivision, right? The whole
Yeah, that
And the
subdivision,
number
you
of
built
lots.
5 homes.
And number of
instead
lots.
It was, you were allowed 3 and you got permission to put 5 in there. 59th Street, 111th Avenue.
I can't.
I think that's a different subdivision. He's talking about the one to the southwest.
Yeah, I'm talking southeast of that property right there.
The 59th.
Okay, I'm just talking about the impact on 60th Avenue. That's what I'm looking at. I mean, that's your most concern.
There's no impact on 60th Avenue because that's 60th Street.
60th Street.
So what I'm saying is, that's all a neighborhood. All those connecting roads impact one another. And it's just a great impact, Lucia, on that area, that community, and our infrastructure.
Councilwoman Reed.
When did you buy the property?
I'm sorry,
When did you buy the property?
July.
You bought it in July of this last year, 2024.
In July.
Okay, with the zoning that it had.
I believe it's RR.
It was RR then? Okay, thank you.
I will reserve the right to call you guys back up if you need to clarify anything. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to come up and speak and ask questions? We can take care of that.
Okay. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Lisa Ferguson, 11253 60th Street North. We're at the property directly north of this development. We have one house and we're in Zone D for hurricane evacuation. Wasn't sure what Mr. Bernhardt said about the flood zone. It was X or something.
Bob, what's the flood zone there?
What is X?
The lowest risk.
Okay.
It's basically not a zone.
Then we're in D and we're directly north of there.
I think you're referring to evacuation zone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. The property that they're proposing to build these houses on is already floods our property directly north of there. And I just can't see how elevating the land to accommodate the homes and putting the houses on there is not going to, even with drainage installation, is not going to flood our property that already floods. There's no ditch that connects from the drainage pond there. There's no ditch that goes in front of our property. So a lot of the water just runs directly off the road onto our property. There's 10 to 12 houses going in to the southeast, the new development there. So those 12 properties will also impact 60th Street. And I just can't understand how they're going to put 14 houses in there and not flood us more. We flood, even without the big hurricanes, we flood badly. So I just don't understand. That's my side.
Thank you. Ma'am, at the outset, pardon me, at the outset of this meeting, you provided a written statement. Did you still want that published to the council?
Yes, please.
Given the timing of the delivery, I'm just going to read it into the record for the benefit of all present. January 2nd, 2025, Pinellas Park City Council. New development drainage concerns. Honorable Mayor and council members, we are a group of citizens who are concerned about possible drainage flooding issues that will likely cause our properties to have increased flooding due to development along 60th Street North, especially north of 110th Avenue. Current development of property at 11090 60th Street North is underway with plans to build 12 houses, and the property a block away at 11227 60th Street North has been sold to developers who have plans to build 14 houses. Current homes properties in this area already have significant flooding, even without the progressively more frequent and intense storms. There are discontinuous drainage dishes blocking the flow of water from flowing north. There is also a retention pond on the corner of 111th Place and 60th Street that is at least half full even in the dry season and overflows during the summer months. These developments, with the construction of these 26 homes, will systematically elevate ground levels, causing more flooding unless appropriate drainage is installed, especially along 60th Street north of this. According to the Southwest Florida Water Management District, developers are required to install appropriate drainage systems, including retention and detention ponds and ditches, to prevent further flooding. Photos of current flooding will be provided as a baseline of evidence to assure there is no additional flooding. If this flooding occurs, the developers and/or residents will be liable for damages to the homes and properties nearby. Another issue is the nearby lift station that will not be able to accommodate all the new homes. These would have to be upgraded to standards by the developer. We would like to know what evidence we will have that assure the developers have followed SwiftMud standards and applicable laws. Multiple residents attended the zoning committee meeting in December, and the majority of the council, the board as it were, voted against current plans at the 11227 properties. Thank you for your time and consideration. Respectfully, the residents of properties along and adjacent to 60th Street North. This has been a reading for the purpose of publication. It is not an endorsement or of the position, just simply communicating it for purposes of the record.
Is there anybody else in the audience who would like to speak on this item? I believe, there you go.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing?
I'm sorry, ma'am, I have a hard time hearing.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Name and address for the record as well.
Joseph Brokaw, 11253 60th Street North. As Lisa said, we live right north of this property, that tract. We've been there for 12 years, well, since 2012, so a little more than that. Anyway, that property's a lake when it rains, when we get a good rain. And considering they've put, as best I can count, there's probably in that neighborhood area, they've put over 26 or more houses in the last couple of years. It's supposed to be a low, or a last flood, or I'm sorry, it's supposed to be a low area for flooding. However, that area, it got tore up down the hill from there, where they're going to have to direct all that water to. I feel a lot of that water is going to come over my way. I've had flood problems out back, and I finally got it helped with some of the city's problem, but I've fought flooding in my yard, and I know it's going to come right back. I think that they legally, or as it stands now, I think Keith said they're allowed to have like 7 houses or something like that. This area is just getting run over with people. With these storms coming, they're not going to get any less. It's just going to be more problems. And the traffic is getting terrible around that area. When I moved in there was not so many cars going up and down 110th and 60th. Now you can sit there and just sit and watch them go, constantly go by. That area around there has a lot of horses, stables, and that could be another danger problem as well. I could probably sit here and go on all night about it, but I don't want to bore you guys. But I agree with Mr. Sale. I do not think this is a well thought out good idea at all. Thank you.
Thank you. We always appreciate our citizens coming and participating in council meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this item? Does the applicant feel that they need to add or rebut any additional information from this?
Well, I think what I'd like to do is maybe talk with the applicant, maybe at some time, and possibly reduce the number of lots that we are asking here. Vice Mayor Sabille said 8. Eight's not gonna basically be enough for us, but is there any sort of an indication, maybe generally, what the temperature of the board is as far as the number of units per acre that you'd be comfortable with?
Before any members of the board are inclined to answer, I just want to be clear, you're not bound individually to negotiate, or any subsequent submission would have to be reviewed on its own merit, so it couldn't be interpreted as a guarantee. And of course, you'd have to move as a collective. If you wish to discuss the matter with the applicant, you certainly can, but I just want to be clear about the process.
No, I could not reach out to council members, each one, because it's quasi-judicial, right?
Absolutely. I'm saying you're free to ask. I just wanted to explain to my board that if it was reconfigured to a different number and came back in a separate, it would come back at a later hearing date, if that's what it sounds like you're intending to do. And so I was simply explaining to them, once that came back, it would be considered on its own merit, that they're not bound in this hearing to provide you with guidance on something they would bless automatically in a future date, every application. I'm not saying, I'm not, you're free to engage in the discussion as you wish, sir. I just wanted to be clear on process.
Councilmember Butler.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, Hoosh, for me, like I said, it's still the number. I mean, I know the development, I don't live too far from there. I mean, the development has been significant up there. I think that if anything was any indication, we had a tough year last year with storms and some of the impacts that it had. And, I think personally, we need to be smarter about what we're doing throughout the city, especially in that particular part of the city. So I'm pretty close to, you asked, I'm pretty close to Vice Mayor Sabille on that, because that at least, again, is that balance. Because I can't, and I understand that the other stuff was approved, but it was a different council, a different time. And you have to read the room on things, and you have to read the environment of what's happening. And we had some unprecedented issues last year, and that gives me personally a lot of pause. It's not about development in general. It's that particular area has been a challenge.
Well, drainage is usually based on the square footage of impervious. So the total land allows 60%. So whether it's 2 lots or 100 lots, with 2 lots, we can pave the whole thing up to 60%, even with 2 lots. So it doesn't really matter how many lots we have for drainage. It's the maximum impervious surface ratio that determines the size of the pond.
No, I understand. And you can, I'm just, you asked for the concern,
No, I appreciate
and that's where it is, because
that.
none of that math or those engineering words matter when you're standing in 3 foot of water on your own property. So and I get it. I understand that, but it's a balance thing for us.
Yeah, whether it's 3 lots again and 14 lots, you'll have that 3 feet of water at a hurricane like you just had. So just want to clarify that. As far as drainage, will be addressed. We'll meet and exceed SWIFT mud, whether it's 14 lots or 10 lots. The volume, again, is based on ISR, impervious surface ratio. And as far as the lift station that the wonderful family just discussed, that's an agreement that we'll have with the staff that will address that. So really the only other concern I would think would be traffic. Traffic may be the only item that I would, that I would accept as an argument, not drainage. We'll take care of that. So we'll go back to the drawing board and reduce the number of lots.
If I could, Hoosh, to get back with you, so that when you go back to your drawing board, Bob, what is these properties currently density zone, how many structures?
I'd have to double check because they would still be required to dedicate right of way, which reduces the
Right,
net density
right,
a little bit. But when I looked earlier, it was 7.
That's what I'm good with. 7, whatever the,
We can agree to
whatever.
disagree.
Huh?
We can agree to disagree.
Yes, absolutely. It'd be like me going
I
to
wasn't
Madeira
really
Beach.
expecting your vote to be yes.
It would be like me going to
Experience.
Madeira Beach, buying one of those single houses and putting it into a quadplex. Madeira Beach wouldn't allow it. That's just how I feel about our neighborhoods.
I know we're going to
Council-
disagree.
No.
Councilwoman Reed.
The only, I have property up there, and I can tell you that my heartburn with it is the density, because I don't know how we have to figure it moving forward, but the people who have the big properties or an acre of property that's been around here for a hot minute, when these subdivisions are going out, it's flooding us out. So somehow in the building and in the areas, it has to be figured out that there is enough drainage setback from those property lines for somehow something to go in there. It does, and I'm not, and it just, when I say it floods out these properties, it floods them out that people have no idea. Because all the houses surrounding us are now being built 2 feet above, and there's nowhere for the water to go. So in that, and then with the lift stations and all the problems that we're having, I think that we really have to look at what that area will hold. And I know you have to do that, so I don't know why we don't do that before it comes up this way, but I just think it's just, the density's really got to be looked at for that to kind of.
So is your concern drainage or density?
Both, because the more density, the less ground there is to absorb the water that's going to flow over on people's property. Because I see it. I've got one that's getting built around, and we are flooding like we've never flooded before. I mean, you can't imagine the water when you're that piece of property next to that subdivision. Because I'm it. And this last year literally kicked my teeth in because of the water running off the houses being built around me. So that's where I don't know how, I don't know the answer to it. I don't know the right way to do it because that's not my part.
Well, we know
I
how
just
to do
know with the
drainage.
density.
I mean, respectfully.
Well, so did the people who approved the other lots, and obviously it's flooding it out. So, but in the density, it's just on the lift state, and like everybody up here has said it, we just got to look at the infrastructure and everything that there is. So
Mayor,
maybe,
we would-
work together as a team and figure out what's the best,
I appreciate all the input. We can take all this information back and discuss it with the ownership and, take the next step.
Councilmember Seville.
Yeah.
Cadell, sorry.
I know you're not used to
Yeah,
that
well,
light
then
going on. I agree with Councilwoman Reed. I have a problem understanding how the formulas that are currently in effect to decide how much drainage is needed and where it's going to drain or how it's going to drain, and I know they have to have a formula and there has to be some place to start, but almost every place that they've come in and built something up has caused drainage problems for adjacent properties. And I know the rules say that the water has to stay on your property and everything, but it never does. And I don't know how you deal with that, but I don't see that sticking more houses in there before we figure that out makes sense.
We have a wonderful staff that reviews the drainage calculations. Swiftmont has a wonderful staff that look at the drainage. So, but I see your point. So we'll go ahead and regroup and discuss this a little bit further. And we'll come back. I'm thinking that we probably should withdraw the application for next hearing. So should I do that? Should we do that in writing?
I'll make a motion if you want.
To do what?
No, you gotta be careful.
Well, there's two different discussions being had. The applicant is saying he would voluntarily withdraw.
Oh, okay.
Without
Okay.
any resolution
Okay.
by the
That's
council
fine.
this evening on the application.
That would be wise.
We can't advise you whether to do that. Obviously, that's your choice. whether you wish to do that. So that's a decision you'd have to make. I am the city attorney, admittedly. This is my first full meeting, so in terms of procedures, I'm going to defer a little bit to staff if there's any administrative guidelines on how to effectuate that, or how you've historically done that.
Yeah, just email us with a written notice
Okay.
that you want to withdraw, because we did advertise for the next meeting. So just give us a written notice that you want to withdraw, and then at the next meeting, we'll say that it's withdrawn.
And we'll resubmit after we discuss. the
Right,
project
and then
with
once
the owner.
you debrief, you can resubmit.
Yes, the intent is to make majority of this council members happy. Majority.
Not all of
everybody,
us.
not everybody. So
So are you formally withdrawing at this time?
we are going to put that in writing and.
You'll put it
email.
in writing, but for
Yes.
purposes of tonight, avoiding a vote
Right.
of the commission or council, sorry,
Yes.
at this time.
Yes.
If I may, I'd like to say I would want to do the right thing, and we would follow all the requirements, whether from the city or from the county or from FEMA. And that's what I would do. And I appreciate your time and your inputs. And to the neighbors, reach out to Adam to ask you to call me if you have any questions, to, get to know you and be good neighbors. I wouldn't want other people to put, water all over my property either. So you're more than welcome to contact me if you have any other questions. But yes, we would.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council members, with the withdrawal, that would conclude the hearing on item R2. He said he withdrew. He already stated that he's withdrawing.
Yes.
Sir, speak now, forever hold your peace. Do you please confirm that you are formally withdrawing the hearing, this application?
I'll hold my peace. No, just kidding.
Thank you.
Yes, we formally would like to withdraw this application and resubmit at a later date.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
With that concludes the hearing on R2.
Thank you for all participating. Moving on to item 3, public hearings. Item P1, ordinance number 4280.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is ordinance number 4280, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, pertaining to health spas, health clubs, and fitness classes, amending Chapter 18 Land Development Code to remove health spas and add health clubs and fitness classes as commercial uses, amending Section 18-1502.2 definitions, amending Table 18-1518.3 authorized uses in CN District, amending Table 18-1520.3 authorized uses in B1 District, amending Table 18-1521.3 authorized uses in MXD District, amending Table 18-1522.3 authorized uses in TC District, amending Table 18-1523.3 authorized uses in CH District, amending Table 18-1524.3 authorized uses in M1 District, amending Table 18-1525.3 authorized uses in IH District, amending Chapter 18, Article 15 to create a new section 18-1530.32 Health Club Use, amending Section 18-1531.10 List of Conditional Uses and Requirements to include requirements for fitness classes, amending Section 18-1532.9 Minimum Off-Street Parking Space Requirements, providing for the inclusion of such amended ordinance in the Land Development Code of the City of Pinellas Park, Florida, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. This has been a second and final reading of ordinance number 4280 by title only.
Thank you. Item P1, ordinance number 4280s, second public hearing and second reading. I am opening the public hearing and turning it over to Megan.
Good evening. My name is Megan Montesino, Development Review Manager, and I'll be presenting P1, which is LDC-0624-00010. And to reiterate, this is the second hearing. You guys did see this in December as well. So this will be just a brief presentation. So the request for this is to amend sections and tables of the Land Development Code to remove health spas as a permitted use in various zoning districts and establish and add regulations for health clubs and fitness classes. Proposed definitions for fitness classes is a facility offering class-based fitness programs with a limited number of participants that are instructor-led. These facilities are not considered schools of non-academic curriculum. Health clubs are in an indoor facility offering memberships that primarily focuses on individual fitness or training. It typically provides exercise classes, fitness equipment, a weight room, and a spa. These facilities may include ancillary facilities such as swimming pool, whirlpool, sauna, limited retail and snack bar, and basketball, tennis, pickleball, racquetball, and handball courts. Fitness classes will be conditional uses in CN, B1, MXD, TC, CH, M1, and IH. The parking requirement will be one space per 200 square feet or by approval of the Planning and Development Services Director. Health clubs will be permitted uses in B1, MXD, TC, CH, M1, and IH. The proposed parking requirement for this is one space per 200 square feet. Staff recommends approval of this case, and P&Z on November 7th recommend approval of this case. I'm here if you have any questions.
Thank you. Does City Council have any questions of Megan on this item? Seeing none. Is there anybody else in the audience that has any questions on this item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing at its second and final reading and entertain a motion by Vice Mayor Seville.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to pass ordinance number 4280, second public hearing and second reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Moving on to item P2, ordinance number 4281.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance number 42-81. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, repealing Article 6 signs of the Land Development Code of the City of Pinellas Park in its entirety and replacing it with a new Article 6 to be known as the City of Pinellas Park Sign Ordinance, providing for legislative findings of fact, formalizing the intent, scope, and purpose of the sign code, establishing definitions, providing for computation of sign area and sign height, prohibiting certain signs, establishing regulations for non-conforming signs, establishing regulations for illuminated signs, providing for permitting of signs, establishing a variance process and criteria, providing for the maintenance of signs, establishing an appeals process, providing for enforcement, establishing certain setback requirements, establishing sign regulations for all zoning districts within the city, providing for a transition period for all permits issued prior to the effective date of this ordinance, providing illustrations of certain sign types, providing for severability, providing for the inclusion of such ordinances in the Land Development Code of the City of Pinellas Park, Florida, providing an effective date. This is LDC-0923-00011. This is the second and final reading of ordinance number 4281 by title only.
Thank you. Item P2, ordinance number 4281's second public hearings and second reading. I am opening the public hearing and turning it over to Megan.
Good evening again. My name is Megan Montesino, Development Review Manager, and I'll be presenting P2, which is LDC-0923-00010. Again, this is a second hearing. You heard this first back in December. The request is to repeal Article 6, signs of the Land Development Code, and replace it with a new Article 6 to be known as City of Pinellas Park Sign Ordinance. The intent is to comply with the Supreme Court ruling that signs with content-based restrictions in speech violate the First Amendment, ensure that the residents, visitors, and emergency responders can safely navigate through the city, and enhance the visual environment of the city. The major changes are proposed to be added or updated. Signage that causes safety concerns is prohibited. A non-conforming sign that is substantially damaged or destroyed shall be removed or brought into full compliance with the standards in this article. Window signs will be permitted in commercial and industrial zoning not to exceed 25% of the total window area. The minimum setback for permanent and temporary freestanding signs in all zoning districts shall be 10 feet. Temporary sign application fee increased from $25 to $100. Variances will now be reviewed by the Board of Adjustment, and sign variance fee has been updated to follow the fees and charges in Section 18-1501.31, and applications must now be submitted online. Staff recommends approval of this case, and on November 7th, Planning and Zoning recommended approval of this case. I'm here if you have any questions.
Thank you very much. Does City Council have any questions on item P2 for Megan?
Yes.
Just double checking, make sure that's what that was for.
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed.
So if a sign is damaged during the hurricane and it's an old school sign from back in the day, they would have to take it down and bring it up the code if they couldn't repair it.
So it depends how much it was damaged. But if it was substantially damaged to the point where it was completely knocked down, there's nothing left, then yeah, they'd have to come back in and get it.
So they're not
Tough to go.
grandfathered in anymore.
At that point, no.
What?
Code still requires it. Here we go. If you get completely damaged, code still requires
Yeah.
it.
We're just clarifying it more.
Because some of the businesses around here are built right smack dab on the Park Boulevard, and they have no choice. They would have no signage.
Yeah, and that's what the variances are for, and that's kind of a hardship to them, so they can express that when they come in for a variance.
So the current businesses that have been here forever that happen to have the signs up front that would never be able to put a sign up there again, they're pretty much like, sucks to be you then. Yeah.
There's a process to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the window coverage, is that new, the 25%? What is it now?
That's new. Right now, we don't have anything that says it.
So when they do window wraps and all that on their stuff, they're not allowed to do anymore if it's more than 25% of the.
Yeah, if they currently have it, it's grandfathered in, but once they take that
If
down.
the hurricane knocks the window out, then they don't.
Yes.
So in other words, what you're saying, if they take down the Budweiser sign, weekly special, take it down, they can't put another one up there.
Right.
There you go. Thank you.
Just what Nick Colon, Community Development Administrator, just one thing on the non-conforming, just to clarify. It's not gonna make it much better, but maybe a little better. So the intent of that section, what that is if structurally the sign is destroyed, structurally they have to build back to the new standards, whatever building code it is, whatever structural code. Design, we're not regulating the design and look of the sign. So if they want something to replicate what they had, they can replicate what they had within the structure of the new codes. We don't know what that would be depending where it's located and what's the damage. But so it's not necessarily the look.
We understood.
That was a concern.
I have a question. At the business who lost their signage prior to us approving this, if it was, and they're going through the process now, they follow the old rules. We do not make them
Right. As
follow
long
the
as they have something in our system already that they're getting that done, then yeah, they follow the code that stands as of right now until 10 minutes from now when you make the decision. But anyone who would make put in a permit, say tomorrow, would have to follow our new code.
because I know up until we say aye,
right,
that or not, that the signage is underneath a different regulation right now, much different than what we're proposing.
Right. Not
At
too
least
much
a portion,
different, but
at least a portion.
right, right.
You know, I mean, if the sign was more than 50% damaged prior to tonight, it still had to go to the new code prior to tonight.
Right. Mm-hmm.
If it was 50% damaged after tonight,
right,
it just follows the new code. But I know that 50% has always been the marker
mm-hmm.
for damaged signs.
Right.
To follow whatever the new rule happens to be at the time.
Right.
To clarify one point you made, Madam Mayor, it's not about when it was damaged, but when they've applied to.
Right. That's what I asked.
Yeah, no,
I asked
yeah.
that about
For sure.
If it was in before tonight.
As you were articulating the final point, you said if it was damaged before tonight, it may have been damaged before tonight. If they didn't apply,
No,
that was
meant,
the nuance I just
meant,
wanted to address.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes.
I knew what you meant, but yes.
And there are signs all over Pinellas County that will need to be updated.
Mm-hmm.
And is that 50% structural or is it the signage itself? I'm just going to use Publix as an example. They have a little temporary Publix sign where all their LED lights are, that part of it didn't get damaged, just the plastic that went
Yeah,
into
that
the
would
structure.
that wouldn't be substantial. So they could if their sign would be considered non-conforming, they can have it redone to how it was, because that's not considered a substantial
A lot of
structural.
a lot of our businesses lost the plastic part.
Right,
They didn't
that's
lose the
mhm.
actual
Yeah.
structure of the
So
sign.
that would still be considered non-conforming. It wasn't a substantial damage, so they could go back to how that was.
Basically, there's a lot of those around the
Yeah.
city. It just, wind and rain, and that's the face of the sign, and that doesn't apply in this situation.
What's the reasoning behind the window? If you have windows across the whole front of your business, one, it's hot as whatever in there, but two, that's if you had a wall, you would paint it. If you have windows, you wrap it to advertise your business. So who cares?
Probably law enforcement when they go into the building,
Yeah, I think it's more of a safety.
So if it's a wall and they go in the building,
but it's not a wall.
but what if it was? What's
But
the
it's
what's
not.
the difference?
Then they go in through the door.
Well, there's
No, if there's a wall, they can't see through the wall who's in there. If you wrap it, you can actually go in and see what's in there. But it takes away advertising for businesses.
Well, the ordinance has always not allowed businesses to completely wrap all of their windows.
You can wrap a certain
They've had
percentage.
to either have a certain percent or come in and ask for a variance to that certain percent.
Right. But it's a lot more than 25%.
Yeah, now we're
Yeah.
just decreasing it.
Yeah.
So I own small business.
You got
So
a
I
window?
gotta look out for
Understandable.
the businesses that are trying to make it in this world.
You got a
and we're
window?
gonna take away more advertising that they get because they bought a business that's been here. If you look down Park Boulevard, Victor's, all of them, that's what they use for their advertising.
Walk the window in and
So
paint it.
The only signs I don't like are the ones when you're driving down the road that are like 2 feet tall
Yeah.
and you can't see them until you're right on top of them. If they're up in the air a little bit, you can kind of look at them as you're driving by.
Yeah.
And there are some cities that mandatory that they're down on the ground.
Yeah.
And yeah, no. Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions on this item? Yes, ma'am. Oh, my apologies.
Okay, I'm just kind of being the old person on here. I'm remembering that we've been through this exercise before in the past, and that there was a time when it was very restrictive on what percentage of your windows you could have signage on, and then it became difficult for some people because the new types of wraps came out, and there was all kinds of, there was a business that was better wrapped than not because it was distracting to traffic that drove by and saw what really went on inside the business. And, so, it's kind of like we keep reinventing the same thing, and then we'll go back and do this, and then in a short time, the police will come up with, you can't see in, and that's what happens, and then we'll go back and change it again. I'm concerned about, as Councilman Reese said, people rely on that space on the front of their buildings to let you know what's on in there, and it also, we just will change it again, and it costs people money to change it. I know they don't have to change it till they change it, but I just don't. I don't quite understand the exercise in changing these things if they don't need to be changed.
And if you don't like that percentage, you can always recommend a different percentage.
I just think it's just being in small business and trying to make it in this world and trying to and there's a lot of people. I talk to a lot of business owners. And you have X amount of space to advertise, and we try as hard as we can. So if you take away, and I don't understand the window thing. I don't. That one, the cops are here, I doubt very seriously they're gonna care whether it has a wrap on it or not. When the lights are on at night, you can see in there. During the day, they're gonna walk in the building. So I don't understand that part of it. I don't. I think that that's up to each business owner's thing on how much they want to use up at their windows. Plus, it's hot and it's hard to air conditioning. That I get because we did it. But and the signage for some of these buildings, I think that there has to. I don't understand why we're changing that part of it. New signs, absolutely, go nuts. I mean, just but signs that are there because of the way the properties were cut up on Park Boulevard. There's literally from our building to the street is a sidewalk.
Yeah.
That's it. So anything that gets out, and if you go down Park Boulevard because of the way it was, you can't, So I just think that it would make it really hard for people, just like Publix. They wouldn't be able to put that sign back up there. Everything in the Publix would have to change to put a sign up. If that sign had gotten toppled over.
Yeah.
They may have had, this much left. So I don't know. I understand Bart's telling me Florida code and stuff like that, but we're a really good city and we take care of our people and our small businesses and we're here for a reason and we got voted the best place to have business. So I think sometimes we have to just look at the fact that our codes work for some of the places that people have to have a business in and we don't need to make it harder. That's my take on it.
And these discussions are exactly what we're looking for.
Right.
But
in our variances, I get it, but now you got to do this and you got to go in front of it. We're good. I don't understand where the problem is, and I understand we're trying to come up. So I'll stop talking.
this might help you just a little bit. We're
Okay.
trying to streamline our processes to match the surrounding areas. Everybody around here has these codes. We're just looking to catch up and update our code to where when you're in Seminole, when you're in Largo, when you're in St. Pete, our code's very similar.
But we're better than them.
I agree, and that's what this
And we don't
discussion is
need to
for.
be like them. We want them to be like
Right.
us.
And Florida
Just
building code supersedes everything you're talking about here. So if the sign comes down, you have to put up a new sign to meet Florida
For
building code.
structural
period.
reasons, right?
But it doesn't affect my windows. With a rock. I'm just saying, we take care of our own.
Vice Mayor Seville.
Yes, thank you. And, Patty, in regards to your property, you've got one building that has windows that's probably 40 feet away from the curb. The other part of your building has no windows. I
Oh, no, it
believe.
does.
It does.
It does.
Okay, and it's all painted.
No.
But let me tell you, most of the properties that we're talking about going down Park Boulevard, they were all built so long ago, they're built right up along the sidewalk. So nobody's going to read what's on the front of their sign going 45 miles an hour down Park Boulevard. You have to turn right. It's not going to happen. It's the newer buildings that are all set back, that can put up the signs. Most of Park Boulevard is just a small area on Park Boulevard that is.
I can
concerned.
name you signs from Benedict's down at Sam's Club all the way down to US 19. I can name you almost all
Well,
those signs.
you said
around there.
Victor's.
Victor's sign. It's an old sign.
Victor is
Or that sign up front.
50 feet away from the
No,
roadway.
but their sign out front
Right.
is up against the sidewalk. Technically, it can't be there. Neither can mine. I have a sign out there. Neither can the one next to him.
It can be
we
there
like
until it's
protect
knocked
those
down.
signs. I know, but I'm just saying.
A perfect example is Hungry Howie's in the old little 7-Eleven plaza. That thing got pretty much destroyed during the
But if
hurricane.
they had this much of it, man, they're going to be able to put it back up. Not
But
after this.
that's also a good sized piece of property where they can put up a
No,
large sign.
you can't
Hungry
because
Howie's?
it goes down to the parking lot spaces and it goes
Park
to how
Boulevard.
much space you have. So you can't. You either have to give up parking spaces to move your sign back, and then you can't see it because Hungry Howie's. There's a double-story building that was built on the road that you can't see around it.
Father of Time permitted that.
Just saying. Anyway, it's irrelevant. We can argue all night, but I
Yeah.
spoke my piece as a business owner, and that
There you
we
go. Good
take
for
care
you.
of our people.
We do.
So there.
Do you have another discussion, sir?
You
No,
hit your button
No.
twice.
Well, I'm ready to make a motion. Since she
I
closed
haven't
it.
opened it to the audience.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Audrey.
Not that, there's a lot left, but,
You guys didn't
I do
expect
have
us
to ask if there is anybody in the audience that would like to come up and speak on this item. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing at its second, and it's not final, it's just second reading. We got one more to go with this.
No, this should be final.
Second is final reading.
Yeah,
Okay,
second
well,
is
it
final.
usually says the word final, and this one doesn't. So
I don't know
I'm not-
about I don't know about
wasn't
the scripts,
assuming-
but
I
under
wasn't
chapter
assuming.
166, an ordinance need only be read twice.
Okay. So this is final. I'm entertaining a motion by Vice Mayor Seville.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to pass ordinance number 4281, second public hearing and second reading.
No.
I'll second.
Second. Motion's been made and second. And I think we're going to have approve and deny. So all those in favor?
Isn't it a roll call?
Roll.
Okay, roll call is fine.
Mr. Cadell?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Butler?
Yes.
Ms. Reed?
Nope.
Mr. Sabille?
Yes.
Ms. Bradbury?
No. And it's because of the windows.
Motion carries
If it could
3-2.
have been separate then. Thank you very much. Moving on to item P3, ordinance number 4282.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is ordinance number 4282, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 18, Land Development Code pertaining to dumpsters, amending Section 18-1530.20 dumpsters, providing for the inclusion of such amended ordinance in this Code of the City of Pinellas Park, Florida, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. LDC-0724-00012. This is a second and final reading of ordinance 4282 by title only, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Item P3, ordinance number 4282's public hearing, second and final reading. I am opening the public hearing and turning it over to Megan.
Good evening again. My name is Megan Montesino, Development Review Manager, and I'll be presenting P3, which is LDC-0724-00012. The request is to amend Section 18-1530.20 of the Land Development Code to revise dumpster regulations. The overview is to update terminology to be consistent with the remainder of the Land Development Code, amend the location requirement to allow dumpsters only in the secondary front yard, side yard, and/or rear yard, and the setback from the property line will remain as 5 feet unless otherwise stated elsewhere in the code. It will also amend the standard for dumpster enclosures, enclosure gates, and concrete pads to be in compliance with the requirements of the city's bona fide trash collection contractor, and amend the requirement for sites under development to state that any lot that is under redevelopment and has dumpsters that do not meet the standards of this section shall be brought into compliance with all requirements of this section. Staff recommends approval of this case, and on November 7th, P&Z recommended approval of this case. I'm here if you have any questions.
Does City Council have any questions of Megan on this item?
Not that I want
Does
to hear
this
the answer.
mean dumpsters on horse farms too? 5 feet off the property line, and
I don't think we've ever dealt with dumpsters on horse farms.
because they're all commercial, we all have BTRs, so our dumpsters would have to conform to this, correct?
They would appear so.
Side yards, backyards, and all that kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad.
Mine does, so I'm
No.
good with it, but
I'm
Yes.
glad I don't have one.
you have a dumpster yourself. That's where you broke your knee.
True that. True that, girl.
All right, just ask.
Any additional questions for Megan from City Council? Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions on this item? Seeing none. Before I close the public hearing, the setback remains at 5 feet unless otherwise stated.
Mhm.
Just as an example, beautiful horse farm.
Yep.
You think it needs to be 5 feet right smack in the front of the property?
That's just a minimum. It's just, we're not saying to put it 5 feet.
I'm just saying. We need to be careful with what type of commercial property it is.
Yeah, and I say unless stated otherwise in the code, because there are certain zoning districts when it abuts another, like a residential zoning district or something like that, it
Along
is a
Park
bigger
Boulevard?
setback. Yeah, there is a bigger setback. None of that.
And we're ready to make a motion.
I think most of the dumpsters where the horse farms are, it goes by where they can pull in and go up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where they picked where ours was gonna go.
Yeah, and most dumpsters, yeah, we have a section where if you have a rollout dumpster, you can bring that out to your front yard, but as soon as it's picked up, you gotta, take it back. So
Well, and I know like along Park Boulevard where there are still alleys.
Yeah.
Along Park Boulevard that designers as well as city staff has had difficulties in deciding where the dumpster needs to be when that property is being redeveloped.
yeah.
Like
So-
that coffee place, that
The
new coffee
scooters,
place.
yes.
That place is crazy with that. Yeah. They need
And
a
their
small dumpster.
their dumpster was one of the ones that was discussed not too long ago.
Yep.
But I know that there's others, so just as long as we're not requiring them to be up front.
No, that's what currently our code allows them to be up front. So we're trying to get that away from that.
We could paint a mural for
On
advertising.
the dumpster?
On the dumpster, there you go.
Not if it's more than 25%.
Yeah.
That's only on glass.
Yeah, that's only on windows. You can paint your dumpster.
Is our new attorney okay with us?
No, he's shaking his head a lot.
Am I okay with the dumpster ordinance? I think it's fine.
Okay with our talking.
Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions on this? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion by Councilmember Butler.
Thank you, Mayor. Make a motion, we pass ordinance number 4282, public hearing, second and final reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Moving on to item P4, conditional use.
For one moment, Madam Mayor.
Not a problem.
This is item P4, the conditional use approval for an automobile dealer, used cars in the general commercial B1 zoning district. This is sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I have the full, I don't think I have any other further reading on that. This is a quasi-judicial hearing, as was the previous quasi-judicial hearing. In a quasi-judicial hearing, you're not making the law, you're applying the law, the facts and competent substantial evidence presented to you tonight. Before we begin with this hearing, has any member of this board had any ex parte communications with the applicant or their agent?
No.
Nope. Thank you. Has any member of this body done a site visit for the limited purpose of evaluating the relief requested?
No.
All having responded.
Everybody drives up in US 19. You guys
I
haven't
didn't
turned
go
your head to
look
the
at
right.
it.
But the question posed is not if you have a general awareness, but if you've gone to the property for the purpose of evaluating tonight. All having responded in the negative to that, as it's quasi-judicial, I presume anybody who intends to speak has been sworn or will be sworn if they were not earlier in the evening. So with that, Madam Mayor, I'll tender it back to you.
Thank you. Item P4, conditional use of, for an automobile dealership, used cars. I am turning it over to Bob, and this is the public hearing, first and final reading, quasi-judicial. I am opening the public hearing.
Good evening again. Bob Bernhardt, Senior Planner. I'll be presenting CU-0924-00018. As already mentioned, this is a conditional use approval request for an automobile dealer used cars within the general commercial B1 zoning district. Here's an aerial map of the subject property. Many of you are probably familiar with it because of the it used to be Mr. Pools at 8190 US 19 North. The subject property is a land use designation of CG, and the property is zoned general commercial B1. The parcel is located in flood zones X, X-shaded, and just a little bit in AE. Here's the proposed site plan. I'll go through some of the improvements shortly, but you can see the general layout. The existing buildings are to remain. No new construction per se, really just mostly site work and site improvements here with that outdoor sales area in the southeast corner of the site. Here's some site photos. Again, Mr. Pools. Run through the conditional use criteria for automobile dealers, new cars, and used cars. Review by P&Z and approval by City Council. Obviously, that's in progress now. The requirement for a minimum lot area of 20,000 square feet has been met. There is a requirement for a 10-foot wide landscape buffer along the entire right-of-way, which provides primary access to the site. That is proposed to be met as well. So to summarize, the applicant's proposing to change the use and repurpose the site from the current pool sales business to automobile sales, which is a conditional use in B1. No new structures are proposed at this time. The applicant's proposing a lot of improvements to resolve non-conforming parking and other issues, and they would convert a portion of the site into that outdoor vehicle display area with the existing buildings remaining. The landscape buffers will be improved, including a fence on the west side of the property. And then the direct access from US 19 North would be closed due to FDOT requirements. Staff findings are as follows. The proposed use meets the conditional use requirements and review criteria for the LDC. The request is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan. Staff recommends approval of this case. And at the December 5th, 2024 meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the case with one condition, that all vehicle deliveries shall take place on private property. Thank you, and I know the applicant's here as well and has a presentation.
Does City Council have any questions of Bob on this item?
Good job, Bob.
Councilmember Butler.
Just real quick, I know it's not our thing, but what's the deal with the FDOT requirements?
It's a spacing requirement. So basically, they over time are trying to discourage having tons of curb cuts, very, very choppy and close together for safety reasons and traffic and things like that. So gradually, as changes of use and site improvements are happen over time, those requirements are triggered, basically.
Okay. Thank you.
And it's not only FDOT, Pinellas County is doing the same thing.
Stupid.
Yes. I have one question just for all pun purposes. The dumpster is less than 5 feet.
I probably should have mentioned that's one additional site improvement that will be going away, and they will have
at least in an enclosure.
Yes, it's not an ideal location out there on 82nd.
This
so.
was non-conforming.
Yes, and so yeah, they're proposing actually. I don't think they anticipate generating much waste at all with this type of a use, so they'd be kind of moving the waste inside into one of the buildings.
Yeah.
Roll out.
Well, yeah, they don't have a big, huge mechanic shop, so I would say, yeah, the dumpster's not necessary. But if it had a mechanic shop for lots attached, then it good. So, no additional questions for Bob. The applicant is here. Name and address for the record, because this is quasi-judicial, and whether you were sworn in or not.
Yes, Mayor. For the record, Kevin Reale, 4400 44th Street South, St. Petersburg. I have been sworn, and I do a presentation, but frankly, Bob covered most of it, and some of the questions were things that I would have pointed out. So the site, the use change, the code really is focused on that landscape buffer and the size of the site. The site is plenty big for the use, and we're maintaining the building. So I'll click through to the site. Actually, this slide shows a little better. So the main improvements to the site are the fact that right now there's parking right in the roadway and the dumpster is in the right of way. And so that has to be reconfigured to put a sidewalk and to move the dumpsters onto the property. This is the existing buildings are remaining, and there's not going to be a mechanic shop. The rest of the sites are site improvements, as Bob talked about. So really, you're going to see an improvement to the site. The building will be, painted and things. That's not part of the application, but that will be improved as well. I often say that the hardest permit we have to get is SWIFMUD, but that's quickly becoming FDOT. FDOT it wasn't even a conversation starter. We had to reconfigure the site for that. And that actually did create some challenges for parking. So the goal was actually to put all the parking up front, but we can't do that with the access. So the parking will be improved there on the west side. It's existing pavement right now. And then with the parking that's on the right of way, like I said, will be moved to both sides of the building. And then you have the vehicle sales area to the southeast. Otherwise, I think the request is pretty straightforward. The primary goal of the Land Development Code in making a conditional use is focused on the size of the building. Concerns at P&Z were stormwater. There's a pond there. That pond will remain, and depending on, we have our engineer here if there are any specific questions. But if that pond has to be modified to accommodate the extra storage area or sales area pavement, that'll be done. And the other question was deliveries. What I explained at P&Z was you can't park on the road to do deliveries anyway. Code would allow the city to enforce that regardless if it was a condition. But additionally, in talking to the applicant after that hearing, this is not going to be, you have several car dealerships in your city. This is not going to be one of the dealerships where you have a big 18-wheeler delivering vehicles. Most of these are delivered by porters, or they just get driven themselves onto the site because they're used cars. And then in other scenarios, you may have a flatbed that'll have one on the truck and one in the back, and that can easily drive on site to deliver. So barring any questions, we have the applicant and the engineer here. I won't take us through the rest of the presentation unless there are questions.
I want to talk about this FDOT stuff. I know it's not the right venue, but I'm just there's no process. We're going to Tallahassee Monday, so I'm just going through who's on the transportation committee. So you're telling me that you buy a new piece of property to develop it to try to do your business, and you didn't have anything to do with what was built up around you, but they're going to say you can't have a driveway there. Because if you were a bigger dealership, say you were Crown just to the north, you can't even pull into your property if theoretically.
Right. So
that's ridiculous.
So
Like a sign, they are.
right, and they can actually force cross access in some situations too. And the problem with that is if your neighbor's not redeveloping, you're stuck. And so that was kind of how we ended up here. They started talking about cross access, and we said, well, we can reconfigure if we close the access on 19. So the hotel there. The cross access wouldn't have worked, and so this is where we ended up with them.
And if you did have to bring big vehicles in there to do whatever,
we'd probably have. Then you wouldn't be able to keep the existing building.
I guess you could just run over the sidewalk at that point. Do we have Bart? Do we have like what that is so we can talk to somebody about it?
We do, and we've talked about this in the past many times.
We're going to talk about it again.
They're going to always fall back on safety. They're always going to tell you this is a safety issue.
Have they ever driven on US 19? It's not the customers.
There's nothing safe about it.
It's the people driving
you
on
go up there, look, they took out all the left-hand turns. All the U-turns are gone. It's just, this is what's going on.
What triggers did you have to ask them?
Right-of-way permit.
The right-of-way permit. So if you're, and let me introduce the engineer to get more into detail of that.
Ryan Clark, Kimley Horn, civil engineer, 201 North Franklin Street, Tampa, Florida. Yes, I've been sworn in. Yep. So anytime we have a change of use on a building, DOT asks to just come take a look at it. It's just as simple as that. They always want to take a look at the site. Like Kevin was mentioning, the access, it's very close to the 82nd North intersection, and that's for DOT. That's a concern for them, just spacing.
And you couldn't move it anywhere on the frontage of the property where it would be acceptable to them.
Yeah. If you move it, south, then it's
close to the hotel.
To the next
that's
one.
too close. That's exactly.
And right in the middle isn't good enough either. Okay.
I think the sign is in the way.
Hey, it's much like having a sign. You can't have a sign out there now.
Is that Mr. Pool's sign still standing? The structure of it?
Nope.
I-
Wait. Don't let anything happen to that sign. Here's what I'm going to tell you. See that sign right there? You keep that sign for as long as it's
it's still
if there's a hurricane coming, you wrap it in bubble wrap. I'm just telling you. And don't put anything on your windows. Somebody will come and knock on your door.
You're giving our attorney a
I'm sorry.
He's ignoring us.
No, I'm just looking.
I would with that. That is one of the old school signs that's there. So you would never be able to put it back out there. So.
We're very happy to be on the same side of the city when they're not on the same side as FDOT, but this is going to work for us. So we appreciate the concern, but they're not going to.
I have one question for you. They didn't fuss about you having the entrance that close to US 19?
No, they
on 82nd.
They did, but we were able.
It was a discussion for sure, but it was sort of a lesser of two evils situation in some ways. They just said, we'll accommodate it because of our stringent requirements.
Oh, thank you, FDOT.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions?
We should have them move the road.
Yeah.
I'm voting with Ricky.
You said the county's doing it too?
Oh, yeah. They're just as bad. Just as bad. They're lucky that they don't have to go to FDOT and county, that they only have to go to FDOT and Pinellas Park.
So that's today's application. Ryan gets plenty of them.
Yeah.
G. Ross.
Any other questions for us? Or
Nope.
All right, we'll take a seat. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Our council meetings usually aren't this long either, so I apologize for. Is there any other people in the audience that have any questions on this item? Seeing none, and City Council has no additional questions for staff. Close the public hearing at its first and final reading, quasi judicial, and entertain a motion by City Council. Councilmember Butler.
Shall we go for the button at least? I'm still pissed.
I know, I was watching you guys trying to figure it out.
First meeting, sorry. I'm going to use the same thing, Randy. Mayor, make a motion. We approve CU-0924-00018 public hearing, first and final reading, quasi judicial.
Second.
Motion has been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Oh, you get to do it all tonight.
Thank you, guys.
We are moving on to section 4 consent agenda.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We are on the consent agenda. Item C1, authorization for the City of Pinellas Park to accept a utility easement from Knights Real Estate, Inc., 8787 66th Street North. Item 2, authorization for the City of Pinellas Park to accept a right-of-way easement from Lightning Property Group, LLC, 7168 62nd Way North. Item 3, authorization for the City of Pinellas Park to grant a utility easement to People's Gas System Incorporated for the property located at parcel ID number 34-30-16-00002400700. Item 4, authorization for the City of Pinellas Park to grant a utility easement to Duke Energy Florida, LLC, for the property located at parcel ID number 28-30-16-71064-0000030. Item 5, ordinance number 4283, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, amending section 1, 2, 6, 7, and 8 of ordinance number 4272, an appropriation and tax levy ordinance of the City of Pinellas Park, providing for repeal of all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. This has been a first reading of ordinance number 42-83 by title only. Item C6. Authorization for the city manager to sign a lease agreement between the City of Pinellas Park and Derek Twadarski. Item C7, resolution number 2025-01, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, authorizing the mayor to sign a state-funded grant agreement between the City of Pinellas Park and the State of Florida Department of Transportation for the roadway and intersection improvements at 60th Street North and Park Boulevard North, and providing for an effective date. This has been a first and final reading of resolution number 2025-01 by title only. Item C8, authorization for the mayor to sign an annexation agreement with Caitlin Blanchard, AX-2024-00005, it's at 6243 67th Lane North. Item C9, ordinance number 42-84, annexing into the city a certain parcel of land generally located at 6243 67th Lane North, AX-2024-00005, Caitlin Blanchard. I believe I have the full title. One moment, Madam Mayor. This is an ordinance of the city. It's going to take forever to open, isn't it? One moment. I just want to make sure we have the full ordinance title read in. Thank you. Ordinance number 42-84, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, annexing into the city a certain parcel of land generally located at 6243 67th Lane North, together with the adjacent right-of-way of 67th Lane North, and legally described and depicted in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, providing for amendment of the legal description of the corporate boundaries of the city, providing for the assignment of city zoning classification, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances conflicting herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date. This is AX-2024-00005 for Caitlin Tierra Blanchard. This has been a first reading of ordinance number 4284 by title only. Ordinance number 2025-02, amending the city's official land use plan map by designating the category residential low medium, RLM, for the property located at 6243 67th Lane North. That's LUPA-0924-00008, Caitlin Blanchard. Ordinance number 2025-02, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, amending the city's official land use map by providing the land use designation of residential low medium, RLM, for certain lands generally located at 6243 67th Lane North, and more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, certifying consistency with the city's adopted comprehensive plan, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date. This is LUPA 0924-00008. Kaylin Tierra Blanchard. Item C11, reappointment of the General Employees Pension Board trustee, William Venata. Item C12, receipt of resignation from the Police Officers Pension Board of Trustees, Catherine Thompson. Appointment to the Pinellas Park Police Officers Pension Board of Trustee, Matthew Pruitt. Item C14, authorization for purchase under Pinellas County Contract 23-0348-ITB-CP Stormwater Improvement Project, 47th Street North from 78th Avenue North to 82nd Avenue North, MTM Contractor Incorporated. Item C15, authorization to purchase and install 2 Liebert unit condensers for the server room at City Hall. Item C16, authorization for purchase under the Interlocal Purchasing System, TIPS, for stormwater pipe rehabilitation, Vortex Company, LLC. Item C17, authorization for purchase under the Interlocal Purchase System, TIPS, Stormwater Pipe Rehabilitation, Vortex Company, LLC. Item C18, authorization for change order number 1 and final payment for the emergency manhole repair at 66th Street and Bryan Dairy Road, Roland DE, LLC. This concludes all items C1 through C18 on the consent agenda, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Becky.
Thank you. Mayor Bradbury, regarding the consent agenda, I would like to make a motion to pass, approve, or adopt whichever action is appropriate, items C1 through C18, inclusive with item C5, C9, and C10 being first reading prior to public hearing, and item C7 being first and final reading. The next public hearing will be held in council chambers on Thursday, January the 23rd, 2025 at 6 p.m.
Second the motion.
Motion has been made in second. Any city council members have any questions on items C1 through 18? Is there anybody in our audience that has any questions on items C1 through 18? All those in favor?
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Councilmember Cadell, got anything for us tonight?
Well, I would like to listen to myself talk some more, but I think in fairness to staff, I'll skip.
Who said that?
Good. Kind of ditto with Tim, but I do want to say just thanks to staff. I know you do a lot of work to prepare for these meetings, get all the stuff together so we can sometimes shred it or make it more complicated. So I appreciate all you guys. I want to wish a happy first or Law Enforcement Appreciation Day to the police department. It is today, National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. So I did go out with Lieutenant Shea last weekend and caused some trouble. It happened to be a busy day and he was working, so I went and rode around a little bit and spent some time with our officers, and it was great as always. So appreciate what they do today and every day to keep our
Did they
city
tell
safe.
you to stay in the car?
No, no. If they told you, maybe, but no, they didn't tell me. I can see
Mine was Captain Hayworth, and he told me when he got out of the car, stay in the car.
Nope, I was out and about.
Anything tomorrow, Ricky? Anything tomorrow?
No.
Other than it's Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday. We're all looking forward to Friday.
It's your
Really?
birthday.
Nothing going on tomorrow.
It's
Nope.
your birthday.
If we keep talking, it's going to be my birthday sitting here right now. It's late. Let's go next.
Birthday.
Somebody else's this weekend and somebody down
And
there
somebody
this
else's.
weekend.
It's a great month for birthdays.
A lot of birthdays.
A lot of birthdays. Ditto everything that everybody said so far, and I've talked enough, so I won't talk anymore. But I do appreciate all of our staff. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Yes, I'd like to thank Mr. Moore. He did a great job tonight as our new attorney. Thank you very much.
You drove me
And,
crazy.
and as always, I'd just like to thank staff. I think we got the best staff there is, and all of our first responders are awesome. And since that's a lot bigger number now than it used to be, first responders. But just one note, I called Pinellas County, Then I called the city of Largo just to their general number to see how their operators answer and how sweet and polite they are. Let me tell you what, whoever runs our telephone, our operator is fantastic. Says please, thank you, hold on, please. Very, very polite. So whoever it is and running that division, they're awesome.
Kelly? That's Aaron, you
Do
probably.
you recognize the voice recording that's on there?
Yeah, it's an old recording.
Mm-hmm. It's Luann.
You have it, yeah.
It's Luann.
Yeah.
She had the sweetest voice in the world.
Mhm.
Yep.
Don't change it.
No.
Just don't
Nope.
change the person who's answering the phone. They do it. Really, they do a good job.
Aaron, the sweetheart.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good.
Very good. All our staff's great.
Do we have things going on, Miss Lana?
We do. I'll be brief. January 20th, all city facilities will be closed in observance for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. If you want to get in on our Elvis matinee, we still do have some tickets left. That's at 2 o'clock on January 11th at the PAC. So there are some tickets still available. And then the Pinellas Taco Fest is coming to England Brothers Park on January 25th and 26th. So for more details about those events, you can always go to What's Happening Pinellas Park, our Facebook, and then, of course, our TV channel. Amazon, we stream on Amazon, Roku, and Apple, and also our website. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Angela?
I think we got enough attention tonight.
Okay. No? 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 Happy birthday to the ones that are coming up real soon here. Many more.
Hope so.
Many, many more. So, just a blessing. Awesome city staff, awesome volunteers over the holidays, and keep up the good work. We'll say everybody have a blessed couple of weeks till see you again. The meeting is adjourned.